Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming out and watching and listening to the Real Short Box Live. Again, my name is Donald. The guy over here to my right is Darren. Just below me here is Kevin, and over here in the kind of the corner area down here is Jarrett. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to be discussing trilogy battles and why I do a few things in the background. The gents are going to discuss some of the trilogies that didn't make this 16 seed list that we're going to be doing tonight. Some honorable mentions, in other words. So whenever you guys are ready.
Can I move?
Right.
Did the screen cap end?
Yeah,
Okay.
Darren, we're good. You can move.
Well, I know one that I was disappointed that didn't make it in was, the Karate Kid trilogy.
Yeah, big disappointment. Big disappointment. I'm going to say also the Captain America trilogy.
Oh, absolutely.
Because once I thought about that, I was like, damn, that's a pretty damn solid trilogy. Like, I mean, the first one's, it's good to a point. We've agreed all that Winter Soldier is one of the best, if not the best, MCU film. And Civil War is, like, right up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's kind of interesting is, like, so I want to avoid being the guy that I was last week who's constantly criticizing the list on his own podcast. But you know, what's kind of intriguing to me, just from a personal preference standpoint, you know, Rambo not being on there is highly disappointing. You know, Rambo, of course, it's obviously not a top 10 trilogy of all time, but it is quite good. Mad Max is a personal favorite in many respects for me. Obviously not everyone's cup of tea. And
Bad Boys trilogy.
Bad Boys is really underrated, especially number 3. And also, finally, I'm going to go with Alien. The Alien trilogy, any 3 of those films are fantastic.
Yeah, just so everybody who's listening, you're probably going like, how the hell did some of these not make it? We wanted to do a bracket. What was it, like a March Madness?
Special bracketology.
So we had to cap it with 16. We also wanted to be fair as far as we wanted to have an array of films. We didn't want it all to just be 80s action films, which is obviously our cup of tea because that's, you know, what we grew up with. They are in there, trust me, but, you know, another one I'd mention is the Rocky movies, the, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe put 4 in there, somewhere higher, but yeah.
3 is awesome.
Yeah, I think 6 is also quite great. The thing, too, is just an addendum to our March Madness here. We didn't do the seeding 1 through 16 that you'll typically see, because you'll see a couple of these matchups here. There's no way that a couple of these matchups are like 1 versus 16. You're going to see a lot of stuff. You might even see stuff that's like number 2 versus number 4. Or number 7 against number 6. I mean, it's really tight.
Hey, guys, we're live. I've posted on social media platforms, so feel free to take that and run with it. And
also, the Bourne trilogy.
We do have my mother in the house here, so everybody say hello to my mom.
Hello.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I know you're probably listening in the background, so hello, Dad, too.
Hi, Mr. McKinney.
And thanks for everybody tuning in. Thanks, Janet, for coming on so fast. Thanks, Enrique, for joining us so quickly. We appreciate that very much. And you other people that have yet to say hello, well, hello to you officially. Hope you can say hello in the chat, because this is going to be a very chat-heavy involvement this time. This is the podcast, the live podcast, where you make the decisions. Yes, you guys out there watching make the ultimate decisions on which seed in the seed, which team goes and which team stays. If Team Back to the Future gets to stay, it gets to stay. But if it's told to go, it's out the door, guys. There's no choice. We have to have you voting. We have to have you active in the chat section in order for this to work. The only time we actually get involved with the actual voting itself is if there's a tie. Then the 4 of us form our group here, our super group, and we decide the tiebreaker on this. So keep that in mind.
The Hollywood Vampires. Right?
Yeah.
That group with Johnny Depp and Alice Cooper.
Sure.
And just so you all know out there, even though we always, or at least I do, refer to you as the smartest audience on the internet, no pressure whatsoever about making any of these choices. None. None at all. You will not be criticized by us at all.
No.
You're saying that we're not going to judge?
Silently.
That's what I'm saying, but that's also not what I'm saying. Look, we're all here to have fun. Everyone loves these trilogies, and I just can't wait to celebrate them.
Right. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to be bringing up images of the battles. So once Darren gives us the seed, I'm going to bring up the images of the two trilogies it's going to be facing off, and then you'll choose which one out of that bunch, and then we'll go from there.
And can I do the tail of the tape? Be like, our tail of the tape.
Yeah, if you want, sure.
It's coming in heavy with a reach advantage of 72 inches.
Yeah, we are all four of us here to kind of bring to light. Like, for example, there might be something that you don't remember very well, and in which case we're going to bring it up real quickly and briefly discuss the trilogy and why it's seminal, what worked so well about it. Hello, Maria. Maria just joined us. Hey, David Denenberg, he joined us as well.
Howdy.
Dave says, let's go. Excited for this one. I'm excited, too. We're just waiting until we get a few more people that pop in, Dave, and then we can get rolling on it. But I know Kevin wants to do some introductions real quick, probably, as he's prone to do.
That's true. That's true. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the most righteous, most spacious, most wonderful podcast on planet Earth today, the Real Short Box. Now I'm going to introduce to you the brothers of the Real Short Box. First, the Kaiser of Youngstown, Ohio. He always carries the biggest stick of truth around. He is a master thespian of the arts. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the debonair of modern day masculinity. He is Darren.
Now, this bracket has been made, but I don't want to give away what we're doing, but real quick. Whoa!
Oh, yes, a little tease. Next, he is the CEO and chairman of the Real Short Box. He carries with him a fluffy beard that the ladies love. He drinks only the best whiskey in America. He is and was 1987 Mr. Teen Ohio. And of course, he is a lovely collector of Silver Age comics that he loves so dearly. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the original Donald.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
And last but not least, he is an international man of mystery. He is an intimate lover of Bronze Age comics. He is this new 2020 Husband of the Year of Central California. Ladies and gentlemen, the Marquise of Napa Valley, sweet white chocolate. He is your Jared.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This clap was heavily featured in the movie Lionheart.
Nice.
And of course, I am your humble podcaster, the Grand Master of the Jedi and Vulcan Arts, your Supreme Chancellor, Dr. Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining us. It's appreciated, as always. And thank you guys out there in podcast land for joining us. Again, I'm going to go over the rules real quickly for those that are just joining us. The rules are going to be as follows. This is a very chat-heavy conversation, so everybody in the chats, please comment. Also, anybody watching that happens to have my contact information, Darren's, Kevin's, or Jarrett's, that wants to reach out to any of us personally and text us or message us, because I know some people have trouble with the chat in YouTube, feel free. You can absolutely do that. We'll mention the name of the person and who they're voting for during that seed. So just so you know, if there is an extra vote thrown in, it's not any sneaky stuff like that. It's going to be, we've all got our phones right by us, and we're ready to rock and roll with that information when it comes in. But you guys in the chat right now, when you vote for something, you know that vote is set. That's locked in. And we will what we will do is we'll bring up pictures. Darren will bring up the seed. He'll say, this trilogy versus this trilogy is in our first bracket. I'll bring up pictures of both of them so you can kind of get a little bit of a visual. And then we're going to do a discussion on why this one is worthy of winning and why the other one is worthy of winning. We'll kind of play both sides here, and then you'll decide. The only time we jump in as a group of 4 to help vote is if there is a tie. If there's a tie, then we get together, we put our heads together, we smush them real, it's going to be hard too because I got a big fat head. We'll smush them together and we'll try to come up with a vote, a one singular vote that'll go one way or the other to eliminate one of the movies and have one of them move on. Darren, am I missing anything or?
Oh, well, I mean, this is pretty arbitrary, but if our votes count as individual votes or as one big vote, because if they're individual votes, in theory, we could split 2-2 and actually both can lose. And you could actually have one thing go unchallenged and advance into a bye. So as far as we're not following the exact NCAA bracketology rules, but I mean, what I did was I took your matchups on the big board over here. I took your matchups and just put them up, and then eventually we will have a champion. Wait, where is it? Okay, camera that way. We will have a champion in all this. So, I mean, essentially, that's kind of what you have here. I probably won't flash this frequently. I'll flash it every round to keep everyone in suspense as to what the matchups are. And, yeah, this is going to be thrilling. I don't think you've missed anything, and I actually like the little twists you've put on it.
Yay! Great.
And as Donald was saying, this particular live pod doesn't work without you,
yes,
the audience at home. So basically, in the words of John F. Kennedy, he said these exactly: ask not what the real short box could do for you, but what you can do for the real short box.
Wow. So he really said that 60 years ago. That's amazing.
And I think John also said, we do not do these things because they are easy. We do them because they are hard.
Yep.
There you go with the Boston accent. There you go.
There we go.
Give me 1 second here. Chris Turner says, hey, I'm here. We can start. Well, thanks, Chris.
There we go. Okay, now we can go.
And
I like the confidence.
TJ
Personally.
says, thank goodness we have so many options. So, yes, TJ. And thank you for joining us as a chat regular here on the Real Short Box. We appreciate you very much. So we're going to put in the little marker here, Battle of the Trilogies. You vote. And it looks like we've got officially enough people that we can start doing some rounds here. So, again, those of you that just popped in, TJ and Chris, we will be doing this where it is audience participation. You guys will be voting. All of you, I expect to say who you want to go forward into the next round. And who, if you don't say who you want to go forward, then obviously you don't want the other one to go anywhere. And they're going to get booted. So that's the way this is going to work. So Darren's going to mention who is versus who. I'm going to bring up the pictures of those trilogies for the battle. And then you guys are going to vote. And again, if there is a tie, we are going to put our collective heads together and decide on who will advance forward. If there's no tie, then there's no tie, and we have no say. That's the way it is.
So we have 2 brackets, 8 trilogies in each bracket. Donald, for the very first selection, Lethal Weapon.
Okay. Give me one.
Versus The Naked Gun.
Oh, man.
Now, this one made me laugh because it's so good. Like, we really tried to thematically, make these versus each other in a way that would make it extremely hard for you, but very fun at the same time. So we have the Lethal Weapon film popping on the screen here. And then we're going to be bringing up the versus, which is Naked Gun.
All right. So, yeah, let's just jump right into this. Okay. So, a lot of the way that I would discuss these is based upon how you can compare each film in the franchise to another. Lethal Weapon, the original, is a seminal piece of work, especially in the action franchise. Lethal Weapon 2 is actually a pretty tremendous sequel. Lethal Weapon 3 is all right. I wasn't as big a fan of Jack Traven, the villain. And Donald, I know you're a huge Naked Gun guy, so do you want to share your thoughts on maybe each of the three?
Yeah, the Naked Gun, the first one, is based off of the failed TV series called Police Squad. How many movies do you know are hugely successful after their television show fails?
7 years after.
Right. It doesn't happen very often. Naked Gun proved that wrong. They proved that the theory was it may have not been made for television, but it was definitely made for the big screen. And Leslie Nielsen had that charm to really carry the series.
And the co-stars.
Right. The second one carried the story on very well. It was a very solid introduction. There was no dip in quality or story. It was just a lot of fun. And the third one personally is my favorite of the three, which is a rarity that you have a third in a franchise, in a trilogy, be your favorite one. Normally they really drop down in quality pretty good by the third one. But with The Naked Gun, I felt like they really kept that up. Weird Al Yankovic and Vanna White surprisingly got a lot of name and face time, so to speak, in this third film. So that's The Naked Gun, everybody, and we're putting the Naked Gun trilogy up against the Lethal Weapon trilogy. So everybody's starting to vote. Votes are coming in. And so far, I'm going to tell you guys what we have. We have...
What we got?
1, 2, 3. We have 5. We have 6 for the Naked Gun.
Interesting.
And 2 for Lethal Weapon so far.
Wow.
7 for the Naked Gun.
So I'll try to lobby here. So it's interesting, Donald, that you would pick number 3 as your favorite. Personally, like I think 3 is really forgotten. Unfortunately, I do agree with you. I really like it, especially the Anna Nicole Smith cameo. Personally, I like number 2. I just think
2.5. 2.5 was cool.
Sorry, we've got one.
Had the most laughs,
especially the way the villain dies in the end of 2.5 is just hilarious.
Yeah. Robert Goulet. But yeah, no, like Lethal Weapon, I personally, I love Lethal Weapon. I think they're fantastic. They even quietly have a really good 4th movie. But yeah, it's interesting. We let the people speak.
Okay. We still have about 4 people that are in the chats right now, 4 or 5 people that have not voted, so please feel free. Thank you, Austin. Austin Fox joined us here. Thank you, Austin, for voting. We very much appreciate it. Sammy, hello, and thank you for voting. Derek Armijo joined us, Kevin and Darren. So thank you, Derek, for that. He said Donald McKenney 33 1/3, so I'm assuming he's going with Naked Gun on that one.
I mean, I'm not trying to sway anybody here, but a vote for Naked Gun is a vote for O.J. Simpson. And you know what that movie caused.
Jarrett?
Wow.
Remember,
wow.
He was found not guilty back in 25 years ago.
Yeah, he was. I'm in the Norm Macdonald party.
Yeah, it's like I don't really want to take sides here. You know, I clearly have some horses in these races, but yeah, no, it's interesting to hear what everyone thinks. The Naked Gun. It's funny with like the third Naked Gun movie when I expected it to be, just, barn burner and amazing. And then I realized I'm like, wow, it's kind of like competing with itself. So like on its own, it's really good.
Jarrett, Arm Fall Off Boy says, but what about Mel Gibson?
Yeah, Mel Gibson did some things that
true.
made people a little angry.
Good point.
Yeah.
But, look, just for this audience, I'm giving this to you to try and sway you. It also might hurt. I'm going to do my impersonation of Danny Glover in one of the scenes in Lethal Weapon. When he's interrogating the little boy and they're trying to find out. What color was his hair? It was black. Blonde. He had writing on his head. A tattoo. There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Also, Gary Busey, Mr. Joshua.
Based on the amount of people we have in the chats currently and the numbers we have, I believe we have a final winner already.
All right.
That final winner moving on to the next round is the Naked Gun Trilogy at 9-4.
All right.
Wow. The passion really rubbed people the wrong way. All right.
Yeah. Derek says tattoo like Popeye. Question mark.
A tattoo like Popeye.
All right, so bye-bye Lethal Weapon. This was surprising for me, actually. I didn't expect the Naked Gun to make it. I am, guys in the audience, in the chats, I am very pleasantly surprised by this and very, very happy. So thank you on moving this one forward. This is a real treat. This is a great trilogy, a very underrated trilogy, and one that we added in kind of in the last moment when we were thinking of these movies. That we were like, wait, that's really all pretty solid films. So thank you guys. And Maria says you've got a bunch of goofballs over here. Yes, we do, Maria. So thank you for being a part of that. Okay, Darren. So we're moving on with the Naked Gun. Lethal Weapon is done so fast. Wow.
All right. So
who's next?
So what we're going to do is, since the Naked Gun is advanced to the next round, it will participate against the winner of Back to the Future or The Terminator.
Oof.
So basically, we have a time travel versus time travel franchise.
Yep. See, all thematic, buddy.
Ay.
Thought about this.
Kevin, what are your thoughts, Kevin?
Let me bring up the photos.
You know what's funny? The first two of both franchises are good. It's the third movies that are the weakest, in my opinion. Terminator 3 and Back to the Future 3. You know, both are iconic series. If I had to make a choice, I'd probably give the edge. Ooh, this is tough. Probably Terminator. Just by a hair.
Okay, guys.
Just by a hair.
Everybody in the chats, those that are just tuning in, we're getting more and more people jumping in. This is the Trilogy vote off. So if you're in the chats in YouTube, please vote for whichever movie you want to win. Please let us know. You can let us know if you've got our cell phones, our Facebook, whatever. Please let us know via there as well. We'll be monitoring our own personal social media. But it's your vote. Your vote is what's making these movies move forward. So, again.
That's it.
All right. And go ahead, guys. I'm sorry to interrupt there.
So we have, if you just jumped in, we had Naked Gun Trilogy versus Lethal Weapon. Naked Gun just took it. Hardcore. Bad. Beat it. And now we are doing Terminator versus the Back to the Future series.
Yes.
Woo! That is
that's tough. I told you. That's tough.
I mean, T2 is a masterpiece. Back to the Future 2 is a masterpiece. I love those. Both
Back
those.
to the Future,
yeah,
Future 1
guys. If we don't get some votes here quick for the Terminator, it's going to be over real fast.
See, I'm going to have to say, like, to me, like, we don't want to kind of put our thumb on the scales, but I'm totally am. I think Terminator without a question, because I rewatched Back to the Future 2 recently, and it just doesn't quite hold up. The original Terminator is a blueprint masterpiece for low-budget sci-fi, and Terminator 2 is a masterpiece of high-budget sci-fi. And quite frankly, watching Terminator 3 recently, it to me is way more watchable than Back to the Future 3, or in some respects even Back to the Future 2. What Back to the Future does have going for it, though, is the original Back to the Future is tremendous. I mean, you can watch it literally any time of the day, and it's probably going to be something of intrigue.
It's tremendous, but I just rewatched Back to the Future recently and got all the feels of the nostalgia, and then I watched the end with Biff and his mom, and I was like, this is kind of uncomfortable. Like, this is like a date rape. Like, and he's trying to stop his mom. I was like, this is heavy.
Yeah.
And then I found out, what's his name? The comedian did a whole bit on it, too. Mulaney? What's his name? John Mulaney?
John Mulaney.
Yeah, did a whole bit on it, yeah. Like pitching Back to the Future now and what it sounded like, and it's pretty hilarious.
Well, what's interesting, too, is Back to the Future 2, in some ways, is a victim of its own time. I think in 1989, when it first came out, those effects were mind-blowing. And the story's still pretty good. I love the parallel of Biff as Donald Trump. I think that kind of stuff really holds up well. But it's just CGI's advanced way past that movie, and I think in many ways it kind of hurts it. Whereas Terminator 2, those special effects hold up well today because they're not. There's a lot of rear projection. There's a lot of tricks they use with the camera as opposed to just heavy computerized CGI.
Okay, so I got a text message 1 for Back to the Future. So I'm putting that in, adding that in. Right now we're standing at, let's see who we have here. Guys, count with me. Enrique says Back to the Future. My mom and dad say Back to the Future. That counts as one vote. TJ says Back to the Future. Arm Fall Off Boy says Back to the Future. Are you counting Terminator 3? Question mark. Sammy says Back to the Future. That's 5. Chris says definitely Back to the Future. Back to the Future 3 is better than Terminator 3 by a lot. So that's 6. Maria says Back to the Future. 7. David Denenberg says Back to the Future. Looks like a clean sweep with 8. Anthony says Back to the Future. That's 9. Thank you, Anthony, for voting. Austin says Back to the Future. That's 10. Janet says Back to the Future. That's 11. DR says Back to the Future. That's 12.
Wipeout.
Derek says Back to the Future is the greatest trilogy of all time. That's 13. Arm Fall Off Boy says Terminator 3 is terrible. And the additional one that we have for Back to the Future is from the text message I received. So that is 14 votes for Back to the Future, none for the Terminator trilogy.
Wow.
So that was really fast and really painful for the Terminator. As great as Terminator 2 is, I am going to agree. Actually, I think you guys made an excellent decision. I think Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 are all still a lot of fun, whereas Terminator 1 and 3 have their moments for greatness, but also they have their moments for... So, yeah, Back to the Future it is. And goodbye, Terminator. So moving on.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Winner, chicken dinner, guys. Back to the Future. And Derek says, that's funny. I'll put that up, Derek. Derek says in the chat, he says, he will not be back. Nope. Well put. Enrique says, if you jump from Terminator 2 to Dark Fate, then yeah, Terminator. Well, unfortunately, they made a third one before they made Dark Fate, so which I've actually never seen.
Oh, it's funny.
On part 3.
My dad just sent a text. He said Back to the Future. It's that funny. So this definitely a clean sweep. Even my own dad said Back to the Future.
Dang. Yeah, your dad's. He's putting the nail in the coffin.
I still will stand by Terminator 3. I don't get all the hate, but oh well. Are we ready for the next thing here?
We are ready. Everybody in the chats, be ready for the next round. Anybody that's just joining us, this is kind of a NCAA kind of tournament rules that we're doing loosely, and your vote counts in the chat. So please be active in the chats and let us know what you want to see, who you want to progress forward in this tournament. Darren, hit us with the next one.
Brought to you by Coors Banquet. That's it.
Nice.
I am a Coors original guy. I love that stuff. Okay, so our next challenge here will be Jurassic Park and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, 2 fantasy kind of films with some weak entries into it. It's an excellent versus for this round. So we will go with Pirates of the Caribbean, guys, versus Jurassic Park. Now, I expect this one's going to be a little tighter than what we would think. So, Evan popped in and said, yo, what it is, motherfuckers. Hey, Evan.
Jurassic Park vs. Pirates.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, I think you have a situation here where you have 2 franchises where the first film really set the stage and I think judging by how people will feel about the first film of each of these franchises is probably going to reflect who wins. Jurassic Park, like, even with bad installments in there that you can even include in some of the Jurassic Worlds as well, people just really love the idea of dinosaurs in the modern world.
Wow.
And I think it really gives the love of this franchise a lot to go on. Personally, like, I find all of them relatively watchable. I don't like Jurassic World Part 1 that much. Jurassic 3, I think, gets a lot of crap because it's not really there to develop a story. It's kind of just there to be an exciting, edge-of-your-seat kind of action movie that's over 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And you might think that's a little beneath the Jurassic Park franchise, but hey, there was a T-Rex running around San Diego, so I don't want to hear that argument.
Darren, I don't think you have to argue for Jurassic Park anymore. I'm gonna argue here for Pirates real quick, guys.
Okay.
Jurassic Park the first one versus Pirates, they were both huge. They were both really great films, guys. And they're both something that carried a franchise on over and over and over and over again. So we've got that. They're both great films. Here's what I think is special about Pirates of the Caribbean. I think, in a very unpopular opinion, that the second film is fantastic. I think it's a little slightly sillier, but I think it is just as good as the first film. Whereas I feel the sequel to Jurassic Park couldn't even keep the original cast together and just dropped the ball with the story. I didn't care. It started out great, the second one, and then just fizzled. So for me, the second one didn't work. The third one was, we got one of the characters back, or two, and then the other one left. So it was like nobody wanted to work with each other on these films. Whereas with Pirates, you couldn't keep this cast away. They all wanted to come back. They had so much fun because everybody had fun. Even the audience had fun watching these films. So Jurassic Park versus Pirates, I think Pirates is a very solid contender for this. And I think guys that have yet to vote should consider that.
It's a lot of money to come back to.
Of course.
Sure. Okay, guys, are we ready for some tallying?
Yeah, sure.
Everybody that hasn't voted, please put in your vote right now in the chats or text one of us via social media if you have our information for that. Please do so.
My problem with the Pirates movies is like they made this first one and it's good. It's very entertaining, everything. But then they were just trying to fight and battle to make a sequel, and they kept thinking about whether they could, and they didn't think of whether they should.
Hey guys, you forget about something. There's one famous actress who didn't return to the franchise for any of the sequels. Do you remember who that is?
No.
Zoe Saldana.
Who?
Zoe Saldana.
Guardians.
She was in the first one. Yeah.
First what?
The first Pirates.
Nobody cares.
Ain't nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Well, no.
See, we got Zoe here. See, nobody cares. Nobody...
Yeah, Dotson.
Come on.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I have my personals, but it's hard to say. I think they both have their own charm to them. Rewatchability, I think, is completely based on your preference.
Okay, guys, let's count them up. Evan, if you're going to throw in your vote, please do so right now.
Also, once again, I'm
right
not trying to weigh in on anything, but remember what Johnny Depp did to the ride, Pirates of the Caribbean. He inserted himself into it.
Show ho, Pirates life for me.
All right, so here we go. Bonnie, Jurassic Park. David says, at Jared, your background is giving me the feels. Rest in peace to both those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Maria, Jurassic Park. Derek, Jurassic Park. Arm Fall Off Boy, Jurassic Park. Anthony, Jurassic Park. Chris says both have great first flicks, but Jurassic Park because Jeff Goldblum. So Chris votes for Jurassic Park. Sammy says Jurassic Park. I love Pirates, but the first one was the best. After that, they went downhill. So that's what, 7 votes for Jurassic Park now?
Yeah.
TJ says Pirates was a lot of fun, but it ran into the ground so quick to milk it for more money. My vote goes to Jurassic Park, who definitely has not been milked for more money, TJ. Enrique says Jurassic Park at 9. My mom says Jurassic Park for 10. Janet says Jurassic Park for 11. David Denenberg says Jurassic Park, rest in peace, Johnny Depp's career. That's an entire other podcast discussion. Yeah. So that's 12. Derek, he's already voted. He said Johnny Depp is dead, beat these days, but the T-Rex got a DUI this year, so everyone is canceled. Aww. All right. Austin says Jurassic Park, so that's 13. Let's see. Evan says Jurassic Park, so that is 14. I had to look at my fingers. Hey, Josh. Josh, I love you. Josh is voting for Pirates. So at a whopping 14-1, since there's more people in the chat that hasn't yet to vote, but not enough to sway it, Jurassic Park is the winner. It chomps the competition of Pirates of the Caribbean. Goodbye, Johnny Depp.
Ironically, Pirates of the Caribbean is mentioned in Jurassic Park, the first one.
Really?
Remember, he goes,
Absolutely.
but when Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down,
That's
John,
right.
it does the pirates don't eat the tourists.
Yes, I forgot about that. Well, they actually did. In Jurassic Park, they ate this film. So Pirates is done like dinner. And we're moving on with Jurassic Park. And now we can move on with the next set of films. Darren, go ahead with the next set.
All right, your left end bracket. This is your final matchup. Your final matchup in the first round of your left end bracket here is Indiana Jones
Oh, shit.
and Star Wars.
Oh,
Like Sophie's
that's
choice.
brutal. That's
This
brutal.
is Sophie's choice right here.
You guys are going to hate us for this one, right?
That's
This is
brutal.
Sophie's choice. It's not nice.
Kevin, why don't you kick it off for us, sir?
Oh my goodness. This is basically George Lucas versus another George Lucas and Steven Spielberg franchise. I mean, these two are two of the greatest trilogies of all time. I mean, you can't go wrong. The Star Wars trilogy. I mean, this is just it's holy cinema at its finest.
And we're talking
Indiana
about the
Jones.
prequels, right?
No, of course not. The originals. I mean, and in Indiana Jones, I mean, three really solid, great adventure films. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom. I mean, Last Crusade with Sean Connery as his father. I mean, it's just awesome. Three awesome movies. This is brutal. I don't know which one to pick, guys. I mean, you in the audience, this is tough.
TJ's got a good point. He said it's Harrison versus Harrison.
Yeah, Harrison versus Harrison.
It belongs in a museum.
Yep.
Han Solo versus Indiana Jones.
Okay,
So Jarrett, what are your thoughts?
Oh God, this is like I said, this is Sophie's choice of my childhood. It's like, do you want throw away the He-Man or the G.I. Joe toy? I think I would lean, like a hair. What you said before, like just a little tiny millimeter hair to Star Wars. I think with the merchandise and the rewatchability of those films, not with the
merchandising.
Yeah, I mean, just they've infiltrated my heart, soul, and wallet.
And plus, who doesn't want to be a Jedi?
Well, yeah, I spoke a lot on the last one, so I'll just keep it this simple. I'm not going to pick one, but I will say one franchise you can argue is oversaturated, whereas the other one is undersaturated, and I wonder if that's going to play into people's votes.
True.
That's a good question. For me personally, I love them both. But I will say, since it doesn't feel like Indiana Jones has been represented in the conversation, I'm going to pick that section just to briefly mention that all three are great films, with the third possibly being the best of the trilogy, depending on who you talk to.
I'd say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sean Connery being the addition to that film made it wonderful, and it's a classic. It's an absolute classic. The second one was kind of a bit of a depart from the first and the third, but in a very good way. And the story is very well done. And I'll tell you what, one of the most memorable scenes is when they cut that snake open at the table and everybody's eating like monkey brains and shit like that. I took that with me for life, guys. I'll be on my deathbed and I'll call over whoever's still willing to put up with me, and I'll whisper in their ear. I'll be like, monkey brains, snake.
Also, PG-13 rating came from this movie.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
The PG-13 rating was created because of this movie.
Yeah,
that's right. I was gonna say, when my kids are bad, I still go like, "Oh, Humpty High, oh, Humpty High." Yeah. So,
I mean, yeah, it's hard to say, because I mean, you could probably say there's not two other franchises, story-wise, mood-wise, that are like this, and all the copycats are basically copycats.
All right.
These are the gold standard of their genres. I think it'd be very interesting to see what people pick, and in many ways, this is why we have the smartest audience on the internet, because this is a decision that's too big for a lot of people to make.
And guys, I'm going to briefly mention, those of you that have not yet cast your vote in the chat, please do so. I really want you guys to vote, and I really want to see. I'm really curious about this one, so we'll give you another 30 seconds or so to cast your vote if you have yet to do so, but please do so quickly so we can get these votes in to see who's going to move on to the next round.
Both trilogies have really big father-son
Connections
in them too.
Enrique, I don't know what that means as far as your vote. So if you can, I think you already mentioned it earlier, so we're fine. Never mind, I got it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start counting the votes, everybody. So if you've already voted, great. If you haven't yet to vote, example, Josh, I don't think you voted. If you haven't yet to vote, throw in your vote really quick so we can count that vote.
This is how heated it is. I got a personal message from Arm Fall Off Boy saying, "How dare you betray Dr. Jones, you traitor." Hey, you know what I can say to that? No time for love, Dr. Jones.
Okay, here we go. Counting them up. Everybody with me. Chris Turner says Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. So I think he's for Indiana Jones. So one for Indiana Jones. One for Star Wars, Chris. I got it. Star Wars for Sammy. So that's 2 for Star Wars. TJ says oof. So we'll see what he says eventually. Sammy says Star Wars again. Sammy, you can't vote multiple times. Sammy says Star Wars. God dang it. Okay, Sammy, we get it. All right. So Derek says Indiana Jones. I watched those with me and with David Denenberg at the New Beverly. Yeah, I remember that, Derek. It was a great time. Maria says So we've got 2 for Star Wars and 1 for Indiana Jones, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, John Williams.
I think that's 3 for Star Wars, if I'm not mistaken.
We had Chris, Sammy,
and Maria.
No, Maria hasn't made a vote yet. She said
okay.
Both. So 2 for Star Wars, 1 for Indiana. Enrique says Indiana, so it's 2 and 2.
Damn.
Janet Rodriguez says Indiana, so it's 3 Indiana to 2 Star Wars. Bonnie says Star Wars, so it's 3 and 3 again.
I assume they're also voting on episodes 4, 5, and 6, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. So Bonnie says that, so it's 3 and 3 again. David says Star Wars, it's 4 to 3. Maria says Star Wars, it's 5 to 3. TJ says Star Wars, so it's 6 to 3 now. It's not looking good. Anthony says Indiana, so it's 6 to 4 again. My mom says Indiana, so it's 6 to 5.
All right, it's catching up.
Arm Fall Off Boy says Indiana, so it's 6 to 6.
It's tight.
I'm telling
Austin
you,
says Indiana, so it's 7 to 6.
It looks like oversaturation is losing
comeback.
to undersaturation.
A comeback.
Evan says Star Wars, it's 7 to 7. Josh says Indiana Jones, it's 8 to 7.
That's close.
This is what I expect from this one, though.
It's razor's edge.
McCaff says Star Wars, so it is 8 to 8. We have a tie, guys. We have a tie.
What the hell do we do?
Oh my God! Wow, I did not expect this. Okay. Anybody else in the comments in the chats want to chime in? You could be the deciding vote right here. If you chime in right now, you've got 30 seconds to do it.
This is what I expected from this one. I'm actually proud of our audience. This is exactly how it should be.
30 seconds, guys. You've got less than 30. You've got 20 seconds. Sammy, you can't vote again. You can't vote 5 times.
Somebody break the tie before we do. Break the tie before we do.
To us being a deciding vote at some point tonight.
Janet, Maria already voted. Okay, that's it, guys. The conglomerate is taking over for the votes. Votes are done in the chat for this. Gentlemen, we must decide right now, Indiana Jones or Star Wars.
Oh, my God. All right.
Darren, what's your pick, Darren?
Yeah, let's not get too elaborate. I'm going to take Indiana Jones on this one.
I'm with Darren. That was quick. Indiana Jones for me.
Oh,
Kevin?
Boy. That's a problem because myself and Jared, as tough as this is, I think we might have a slight bias towards Star Wars. So someone has to break this tie.
I'm going to vote Star Wars. I'm just going to lay it on the table.
Man, we have like a 9-9 tie.
Yes, we do. Looks like it.
What it is that it's an 8-8 tie, but our majority vote either decides whether this moves on, or if it's a tie between us, then both are eliminated, correct?
Ooh.
With a bye week.
a double elimination.
It will be. Wait, we've got a vote in the chats.
Someone new?
Someone new. Carlos popped in the last second and said Star Wars.
My
Shit!
coworker.
We've got another
My
one.
coworker.
Oh,
Oh
no.
no! Oh no! Another tie.
Indiana.
10 tie. 10,
All right, 9-9.
Wait,
So,
Kevin, your coworker said Indiana?
No. My coworker said Star Wars.
Oh, I see what you're saying in the
9-9.
chat. Okay.
So, Kevin, you still have to break this because Jarrett's Star Wars, myself and Donald are Indy.
Oh, I said Star Wars already. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's a tie. It's a split tie.
We have a 10-10 tie. Split
that's
tie.
a double elimination.
Oof.
I can't.
Unless someone pops in the next 30 seconds.
I think we closed the vote off already. Did we not?
I think we're. It's closed now. Officially now. I think it's dead. We've killed them both. They're both eliminated.
Oh.
All right.
Harrison Ford's gonna hate us. Harrison Ford's gonna hate us.
As a quick review, I'll show you guys the left side here. You see your advancement. Second round will be Naked Gun versus Back to the Future, and Jurassic Park has the coveted bye. Jurassic Park will go to the semis. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Eliminating these two because of a tie. Wow, that's great though. I mean.
I'm kind of happy that's how it went.
Wow. Double elimination. Unbelievable.
All right.
Now let's get to the right side of the bracket, Donald. We have 8 other trilogies, 4 matchups.
We've got so many angry people in the chats, Darren.
In the words of Eric Bischoff,
Oh, God.
Mercy Gates Cash.
They're screaming for a recount. Oh boy.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
right,
Supreme Court in on this one.
Yeah,
All right.
We are the Supreme Court. Okay, so we're going to the right bracket, which is 4 separate first round matchups, 8 separate trilogies. First one up, a battle of horror franchises. We have Evil Dead versus Scream. All right.
Oh, Donald, I hope you're not crying after this. I hope this works out for you.
So, if you guys, I'll take Scream real quick. So, the opening scene in Scream 1 is arguably one of the most iconic scenes in a horror film, with Drew Barrymore being stalked by Ghostface. It has all the elements of horror, comedy, suspense.
This has already been decided. Man.
It's so tremendous. And quite frankly, like, as far as horror franchises go, like, I'm not a huge fan of Scream 3. Scream 4 is aight. Scream 2's, not bad. I think Scream 2 is a little underrated. But as far as, like, all films are kind of sort of watchable, as opposed to, like, how many Friday the 13th movies just stink, or how many Nightmare on Elm Streets just stink. I don't know if there's one Scream movie that just plain stinks.
Kevin, I don't think I'm going to have to worry.
I know, you're fine. I mean, this is a wipeout.
This is a landslide. If you've ever
landslide, this is a wipeout.
Yeah, Ashley Slashy has definitely come in and slashed the competition. It looks like he's keeping running with this. My God.
No kidding. This is brutal.
Okay.
Brutal.
All right. Well, I don't really have to argue too much or compliment the Evil Dead trilogy too much. I would say, for me personally, the only weakness I have is the first one. I feel that the first
you
one,
and I argue about this.
while the first one is a great one, yeah, Kevin. And Kevin, you bring some good merit to the point in the argument, but they remade the first one technically to make the second one. So the second one is technically the first one. So you really only have 2 original films out of a trilogy. That's the only argument against. But I will say, to create a character so popular that they want to pit him against Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers and the rest of the bunch, that says something to me. That says this character has been elevated beyond approach when it comes to the horror echelon. And that's what I'm going to say for the Evil Dead trilogy. Now, for Scream, they're all very solid films. They killed Randy in the second one. Spoilers. That really pissed me off and kind of took the sheen off the film itself for me on the second one. But overall, still a good film. And the third one is an excellent film as well. So it's really one of the few in here where all 3 are pretty solid. You know, like there's no arguments really you can have technically against because they're all really good. We do finally have one it looks like for Scream, so that's good.
Yeah, Scream is an excellent franchise, especially for the horror genre. I'm a little surprised it didn't get more love, but hey.
Evan says, my wife said no thank you to both, but I say Evil Dead. All right, Evan, that's a good choice. Denenberg says, you guys just gave me a great Carmen Electra flashback. Thank you.
Well, you know what's interesting about Evil Dead, to say one compliment, the first film I saw was Army of Darkness in the series. And
nice. Me too.
It's one of the only trilogies where number 3 might be the best.
I agree. I think the third one. Yeah. I think the third one is the best. Chris Turner just said, "Evil Dead, easy. Bruce Campbell's greater than Nev Campbell."
That's true.
Wow,
that's pretty good.
That's brutal.
Okay.
Dog and Sidney Prescott. She was an icon.
So anybody else want to get in their last-minute vote? It looks like a landslide. I don't know that it's going to matter. Let's count them up anyway, just to be sure.
Don't forget, too, Johnny Depp was in Scream. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was Skeet Ulrich. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Yeah, Skeet, pretty close. Okay, so we have Derek Armijo, Evil Dead. Carlos, Evil Dead. Enrique, Evil Dead. Austin, Evil Dead. Calf, Evil Dead. Bonnie, Evil Dead. My mom, Evil Dead. David Denenberg, Evil Dead. Sammy, Evil Dead, says Scream movies are awesome, but I love me some ashy slashy. Arm Fall Off Boy, Evil Dead, that's 10. TJ says he's going to sit this one out. Maria says ashy slashy, so that's another one for Evil Dead, that's 11. Janet says Evil Dead, that's 12. Chris Turner says Evil Dead, that's 13. Anthony says Scream, so that's 13-1. Evan says Evil Dead, that's 14-1. That's it. There's no competition. Scream has been eliminated officially, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, though, man. Matthew Lillard's pretty memorable, I thought. All right. Are we ready for the next first rounder?
I don't know why I kept saying McCaffrey. Half? Let's just call you Half. That's easy enough.
So, are we ready for the next first rounder?
I believe we are. Let's do it. Let's move on.
In the right bracket, we have The Godfather Dark Knight Trilogy.
Often compared to The Godfather in a lot of ways.
This is heavy stuff. Jared, would you like to tackle one of these?
Damn it.
The Godfather.
I'll do Godfather for the hell of it. I mean, Godfather 1's a masterpiece. There's just no... I mean, you first get to meet the Corleone family. Marlon Brando making a comeback like no other comeback. The one thing that really gets me is when I was young when I saw Godfather, so I thought Marlon Brando looked like that at that time. And if you actually look at him without the makeup on at that time, he was way younger than that role. Like, I knew he was playing older, but it's pretty amazing. Al Pacino, solid. James Caan, Sonny Corleone, solid. Hell of a Coppola's maybe best film. And then you got Godfather 2, which to me out of the trilogy is the strongest. So like that Godfather 2 is like an epic in itself. The brothers Fredo and you know that whole story, going to Havana, like I don't know, that Godfather 2 is great. Godfather 3 is Godfather 3. I know they're doing I don't like when the directors do this, but he's doing like a redo of like now, like how many years later? I don't know.
30
years later, they're doing a redo of Godfather 3, like a re-edit. I just don't think it's necessary. Yeah.
The movie was cursed too, by the way. They allowed like 2 actresses that were supposed to play the daughter. Missed out. First was Winona Ryder. I think she got sick. And and before that, Rebecca Schaefer was murdered. She was supposed to play the part as well.
Kev, do you have any thoughts on the Dark Knight trilogy?
Well, the first one has its moments. It's pretty good. but I agree with Donald how Scarecrow was disrespected as a character, being like a lackey. I did like Ra's al Ghul. I think that was pretty cool how they did that, and also the League of Shadows, how that was introduced. The second movie, of course, Heath Ledger's iconic performance as Joker. I mean, if you take him out, it's probably an average movie, but he really makes that movie pop. I mean, Heath Ledger is amazing. The third movie has its moments too. I like Bane, but I wish there was a little
Garrett.
more to it.
What do you like about Bane?
Yeah, just one passing thought. You know, Godfather 2 is the only sequel, as far as I know, to ever win an Oscar for Best Picture.
Right.
Which I think is a fascinating little tidbit.
Okay, guys, this one's tight, so we need to get your votes in. So please vote in the chat so we can see who's the ultimate winner of the Godfather versus the Dark Knight trilogy. I unfortunately have not seen all of the Godfather films. I've seen the first one. I have not seen the second, which I'm told is excellent, so I need to sit down and watch that. Probably Easter. I don't know why.
Third one, you're not really missing much.
I heard, but they're supposed to be recutting it. Like they're going to try to make it better somehow, and I'm curious as to that. I kind of want to see that.
Coppola has done that before, and it's not a good idea.
No?
Well,
okay.
You know what's bizarre to me is there is like an incestuous storyline relationship in part 3. And I know that like in the hills of certain areas of Europe, that's a thing. But what a weird topic to put into a movie that kind of stinks.
Yeah, with the cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Guys in the chat, please cast your vote immediately.
Hey, Jared.
We're going to have to move on shortly. So if you have yet to vote, do so. If you haven't seen both and you just want to vote for one over the other, that's fine too. We just want to vote of what you prefer.
So, Donald, I have a question for you, because I found this really unique when we would talk about the Dark Knight trilogy. According to what I remember you last saying, you have not watched any of the 3 a second time, correct?
Correct.
I'm curious as to why, for our new audience especially.
To be honest, it's fun factor and rewatchability. I normally sit down to a movie to not want to be emotionally drained or feel like I've gone through 7 levels of hell. Which is what the Dark Knight trilogy has always made me feel like. It's made me feel like I've been subjected to some form of torture. They're well done films, don't get me wrong. It's just they're not what I'm looking for in a superhero. It's not my superhero. That's not my Batman, in other words. That's not my Batman's world. I don't like the realistic thing. Obviously, I don't like the camp from Joel Schumacher. I'm more of a Burton guy. I like the in-between, where you get a little camp, but you get a little seriousness, and it kind of rides that line thinly and very well. So for me, Marvel does it better for that particular reason, because I can't count how many times I've seen Civil War, or The Winter Soldier, or the first Iron Man film. They're just they're just so much fun. You just pop it in at any point and you can rewatch it. Whereas The Dark Knight, it's kind of like you have to, okay, I've got my alcoholic drink, and I've got my black mascara, and I've painted my fingernails.
I'm gonna go to Gotham again.
Right? Yeah. So for me, that's why, Darren. In other words, so when we go for rewatchability, though, we also have to look at the other coin, the other side of the coin, as Two-Face would say, and that would be Godfather. And I've only seen the first one. I don't think I would ever really care to watch that one again. It's something that it just wears you down. And for me, it's like, okay, I've seen it. I can check it off on my list. Now I can move on. And then I can eventually watch. It's been at least 7 years since I've watched the first one, and I have yet to go to the second one. So what does that tell you as far as, like, how did it affect me? You know? So you have to look at that, too.
Sir. It means you're uncultured, Donald.
So I think we're going to close the chats here. So anybody last second, you've got 15 seconds left to vote. So please do if you have yet to do so.
Yeah, this should be an interesting vote, as far as I can tell. It'd be interesting. I'm kind of curious. Not going to put my thumb on the scale, but considering we are a real short box podcast, I would be surprised if Godfather overtakes Dark Knight.
You would.
I would.
Okay.
I personally would be. Yeah.
I think Jorge's mentioned something, but he hasn't voted yet, so I'm just giving Jorge a moment to decide whether he wants to vote or not.
It could be a quote from The Godfather. I mean, it is one of the most quotable movies.
Okay, so Godfather for Jorge. All right, so we're going to do the vote officially. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Jesus, a long one. Okay, so Sammy says Dark Knight, especially Heath Ledger's Joker. Anthony says Godfather, so it's 1-1. Maria says Godfather, it's 2-1. TJ says, I like Dark Knight Trilogy is pretty great, but Godfather is head and shoulders above the rest, so that's 3-1. My mother and father had to sit it out. They haven't seen either. Enrique says, I do like The Dark Knight, but I'm going to have to say Godfather. That's 4-1. Bonnie says Godfather. That's 5-1.
Interesting.
Sammy says, I do appreciate the Godfather movies, though, even though Michael turned into a jerk. Oh, thanks for the spoiler. So we've got 5-1, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, 5-2 now, because Derek says Dark Knight, even though Christopher Nolan is trying to kill us by making us go to a movie theater. Half says Dark Knight. That is 3-5.
Yep.
David Denenberg says Godfather, because Dark Knight was the only truly great film. Godfather 1 and 2, both legendary. So that is 3-6. Derek says Batman Begins is the blueprint for all superhero movies after. I'm not going to disagree. Austin says Godfather. That is 7-3. Evan says Dark Knight over Godfather. That is 7-4. Armfall Offboy says Godfather. That is 8-4. The Dark Knight by Janet. That is 8-5. Carlos says Godfather. That is 9-5.
Working.
Josh says Godfather. That's 10-5. Where's the Ice Pirates trilogy? I wish, Derek. I wish. 10-5. Jorge says Godfather. That's 11-5. Godfather wins.
That's a surprise. That's a surprise.
You got cultured people. That's why they're cultured.
Oh, Chris Turner said Godfather as well. So thanks, Chris, for making that clear. 12-5, I guess, or 13, or whatever it was. It was just a lot to a lot.
Right. Are we ready for the next first rounder?
I think we're ready.
Let's do
All
it.
right, here we go. We've got Lord of the Rings
Oh shit.
Here we
versus
go.
Toy Story.
Oh,
That's brutal. That's brutal.
oh my God.
The Fellowship versus Andy's Toys.
I always share the same story about Lord of the Rings. I remember when I was going with my brother Eric to go see it. No one like this was just like some arbitrary movie. He's like, "Hey, this fantasy movie, you want to check it out?" I'm like, "Sure." So we go see it like the morning, and I remember like sitting in the chair 10 minutes after the credits ended, and I said, "Where's the rest?" Like it was gripping, like a gripping experience. 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I still like wanted more. It was tremendous, especially seeing it in a theater the first time. And I think that also too, just it's funny. I watched him become this huge Lord of the Rings fan, to which he is to this day. At one point, he was like number 2 in the world in like purchases on eBay that were Lord of the Rings related in 2001. So of course I asked him, why couldn't you become number 1, dude?
Yeah. Way to put the effort in.
Yeah.
Fellowship of the Ring was the first movie I ever saw on an IMAX screen, so it had an effect. It was, I will say about Lord of the Rings, once you see the extended editions, you kind of can't go back to the regular ones because there's so much more in those films that just enriches that whole story.
Documentaries are great.
Yeah. I will talk on behalf of Toy Story because this is honestly, for me, this is actually super hard because I'm a Disney fan, but I am a Lord of the Rings fan as well. But Toy Story, I mean, we talked about it in our Pixar episode ranking the Pixar films. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It was really fun. I I guess I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but the Toy Story films are high up there. So, I mean, God, it's hard because those films are so heartfelt, whereas Lord of the Rings there's some heart stuff in it, but it's more like epic fantasy wizards and orcs and shit. Whereas like then you have little toys, orcs and shit, and whereas you have a boy dealing with his toys and their real lives and feelings. So I'm actually super curious to see the votes on this one.
Okay. Carlos, yes, Toy Story does have 4 movies. We're only counting the first 3 of Toy Story. Same thing that we did with Indiana Jones, Star Wars, etc., etc. When we're talking trilogies, we're not talking just like films that only made 3 and that's it. Otherwise, we have Blade and a few others that are fighting it out. And
we won't do that.
If they make more, like for example, John Wick if we use John Wick, that would be 3. And if they made a 4th, then that would be you know what I mean? Then it wouldn't be fair. So we just have to take the first 3 that were done and compare those in this battle. So this is going to be a tight one.
We would have to count the Animatrix.
That's right.
Yeah, we've got back and forth here, guys. So please keep going in the chats. Let us know who you want to win. You've got about 30 seconds left to vote. So those in the chat section right now on YouTube, please vote now. We've got a few people that popped in. Old Chicago Rob. Rob, hey buddy.
And please, while you're voting, just know I will be enjoying this low-calorie rice cake.
I've got those too, in chocolate.
Yeah, these are just plain salt. I'm boring.
Yeah, that's pretty boring. That's vanilla. Pete, hey Pete, thanks for joining us. Pete's cast his vote. You all should too. Cast your vote.
Rock the vote.
Vote or die.
Vote or die.
I think they're both great.
Vote or die.
I think Lord of the Rings peaked in the second one. I think the second one is quite possibly their best. It is very close to the first as far as like tying in my mind. I think Toy Story peaked in the third. I think the third is the best of the 3. I think it's fantastic. And I don't think that there's any low quality in any of these 6 films. So I won't be mad at anybody for casting their vote. But just vote with your heart. Vote with your heart. Okay, so we're going to close it out. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7.
Choose your precious.
6, 5,
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Boom. That's it. Okay.
Who shall reign? Ian McKellen and the gang or Tom Hanks?
All right. Are you guys ready for this? It's going to get crazy. Okay, so Sammy says 1 trilogy to rule them all. I'm assuming that means Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
So 1 for Lord of the Rings. Chris Turner says Toy Story doesn't make me fall asleep. So that's 1 and 1. Enrique, Lord of the Rings. So that's 2 to 1. Maria says Lord of the Rings. So that's 3 to 1. Rob says Godfather. Rob, you're a little late.
A little late. A little late.
My mother says Lord of the Rings for sure, though I love Toy Story. So that's, what is that, Jarrett? 4 to 1?
4
to 1.
4 to 1.
Okay. TJ says Lord of the Rings, possibly the best possible adaptation of those books. So much love and painstaking care poured into those movies.
Yep.
5 to 1. Bonnie, Lord of the Rings, 6 to 1.
6.
Jorge says Tolkien and Jackson versus Toy Story, Lord of the Rings for sure.
7.
7 to 1. Janet says Toy Story, 7 to 2.
7-2.
David says Toy Story.
7-3.
7 to 3.
Oh, we got a comeback here. Looks like.
Evan says Hobbits.
All right, 8-3.
Let's see. My mom made a funny joke. She said, "You shall not pass Toy Story."
Oh, poor Woody.
Half says, "Do I need to go all Randall on you?" Lord of the Rings, and yes, Toy Story 4 movies. And
Is
yes,
that a
Toy
Lord of the Rings
Story
vote?
is 4 movies. Half. Did you vote for either one? I'm not sure if that's a vote for either one. So if you can clarify that. Derek says Toy Story.
I just don't like it when people desolate smog.
Austin says Lord of the Rings.
That's 9-4.
Pete says Lord of the Rings.
10-4.
Arm Fall Off Boy says Toy Story. The third Toy Story is one of the best endings to a trilogy
10-5.
ever. I can't
10-5.
disagree.
For sure.
David says he feels soft voting for Toy Story, but it had to be done. Did I count David's vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Josh says Toy Story.
10-6.
Thanks for
10-6.
clarifying half. He says Lord of the Rings.
11-6.
Carlos says Lord of the Rings.
12-6.
11. 12.
Josh says Harry Potter is better than Lord of the Rings. Josh, you're going to start a fight up in here. So we have a clear winner. It's Lord of the Rings.
It was a good fight, though, Toy Story.
Bye, Toy Story. Moving on. What do we got? Was that the last of the bracket, or we got one more?
No, we got one more first round matchup, and when we get into the second round matchups, we've obviously covered all the material on these things, so they should probably move just a hair quicker.
Yeah.
Our final one will be an action film draw. We have John Wick versus Die Hard.
Oh, I've been waiting on this one, Darren.
Go right ahead, sir.
These are great. These are great films. Let me tell you. I can't say anything bad about either one of these films, guys. Trilogies. Die Hard. Okay, so maybe Die Hard 2 was a little weak. You know, it kind of faltered a little bit, but they came back swinging with the third one. The third one's great. Sam Jackson, come on.
Third one's great. Yeah.
John Wick has never dropped the ball yet. It has been consistent from first to third. I will argue, though, that the third is the best of the trilogy. I watched it in a theater, and I have never seen an electrified audience like I did with John Wick. Like, they were laughing, they were hollering, they were at all the right moments. They were quiet when they needed to be. Everybody loves John Wick. Everybody loves John McClane. So it's tough. What do you choose? You know, where do you go with this? Die Hard is... I mean, there's a battery named Die Hard, for God's sakes, you know?
Have you seen the commercials?
Yeah, the commercial's fun.
He looks so old, though. I thought he was like 80. He's like 65.
Mom, Dad, neither one of them has seen John Wick. You guys have got to see it. Especially since I gave you that on Blu-ray about 4 years ago, maybe 5.
And of course, he has one of my favorite dogs.
Something to consider with these. Just if we're going to go matchup like that, I didn't finish the third John Wick movie. I don't want to say because it was bad. It just lost my interest. It's interesting because you have two different kinds of films. You have John Wick, which is very simplified. Like you screwed with the guy's dog and his car.
Oh,
and it leads to this unbelievable adventure, which is entertaining. Number 2, John Wick, I thought was just tremendous. Really enjoyed all of it. Die Hard, it's hard. Like when you vote Die Hard, you can easily make a case for the quality of all three of those films. Even number 2, which is really charming with Dennis Franz in it. But what's kind of interesting to me with Die Hard is how many rip-offs they spawned amongst people. Some of the good ones like Under Siege, Sudden Death, some of the bad ones. Well, I don't want to say bad, but Passenger 57. There's just a whole genre of those kind of monster in a house type of movies where people take something over and then they lose it. Executive Decision. There's all sorts of really great Die Hard films that are very similar, and Die Hard was kind of the first to really push it out there into the mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he's from, what was it, Moonlighting?
Yeah.
For him to be a relatively, somewhat popular television actor to move into a movie, that wasn't popular then. That wasn't really done. Now, film actors move so flawlessly and seamlessly from film into TV because TV's so high quality now. But moving from television to film, that took a lot of charisma and a lot of strength of character.
Big deal. back then.
And Donald, that's a very good point. Also, another interesting factor, Bruce Willis was like one of the very first action stars of the 80s that was not completely ripped to shreds. And he's also a very talented actor as well, because a lot of people would criticize the acting of some of the action stars. Bruce Willis is an Oscar caliber actor that was doing these action films, and we hadn't maybe seen that since like a Sean Connery.
Angie's in the house. Angie, if you're going to vote really quick, please feel free to do so. We are doing the John Wick trilogy versus the Die Hard trilogy. So get that vote in. We're going to be counting those up here momentarily because we're going to have to keep moving fast on this.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother... No, sorry.
In fact, I'm going to start counting votes, so those of you that have yet to get your vote in, please do so now. Okay. Here we go, guys. Ready with the fingers?
Ready with
That sounded
fingers.
strange, but you know what I meant.
Yep.
Okay. Pete Mendoza says John Wick. We got one for John Wick. Enrique says, damn it. So, we don't know yet on Enrique. Chris says John Wick is the greatest action trilogy ever. Chris, it's very good. I can't argue with that. So 2 for John Wick. Bonnie says yippee-ki-yay, so that's a Die Hard vote. 2-1. Enrique says John Wick. That's 3-1. My mother says Die Hard. That's 3-2.
3-2.
Let's see. David says Die Hard. That's 3-3.
All right, I've got a tie so far.
Maria says John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
Austin says John Wick. It's now 5-3. Half says Die Hard. So that's 5-4.
5-4.
Janet says Die Hard.
Wow, tie. 5-5.
5-5. Carlos says John Wick blows it out of the water all day.
All right, 6-5.
Julio says, okay, I'm here. You can proceed. Thanks, Julio. Go ahead and vote. Which one, John Wick or Die Hard? You've got as many as like a couple seconds here to vote in.
Currently have 6-5 John Wick with the lead.
Okay, Julio did vote. He voted John Wick.
7-5.
Arm Fall Off Boy voted Die Hard.
7-6.
7-6.
Purpose and Chai voted John Wick.
8-6. Oh, it's my friend, Natasha. Hello, Natasha.
Sammy, you voted? I don't see your vote. Yeah, Sammy, I didn't see your vote. All I saw was woohoo. Okay, so she voted for Die Hard.
8-7.
8-7.
Angie, you said, and he sang? I don't know what that means. Let me know what you're trying to reference there, if it's for Die Hard or John Wick, or if you're abstaining from
It's
this
a
vote.
Christmas reference.
Oh.
It's Die Hard.
Is it?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Clarity is important, especially with an 8-7 tally.
It's 9-7 now. I see another one coming in for John Wick.
Yep, 9-7. Okay, we're going to call it there.
That was a close one.
Yep, we're going to call it right there. John Wick took it away from Die Hard. That's crazy. But,
It was tight. It was tight.
Darren, these are not going the way you were thinking, I can tell.
No, well, no. I mean, look. I was just looking at my thing. I don't want to give the audience the impression I'm shaking their head at them. They are, they make their choices, and I respect that. So, yeah, I'm just kind of looking through these matchups. All right.
All right. David Denenberg's bailing, but we've got Hair Samurai here that's going to be casting vote, hopefully. Angie just voted for Wick, so that really puts it over the edge anyway. And Hair Samurai says John Wick had a dog. That's very true. I don't think
Beautiful beagle.
Don McClane
Beautiful
had
beagle
one.
puppy.
Moving on. Let's go to the next one. Darren?
All right, Derek. So we're going back to the left bracket here, folks. We have The Naked Gun, which defeated Lethal Weapon, vote 9-4, against Back to the Future, which defeated the Terminator 14-0. So we're going to have Naked Gun versus Back to the Future right up here in our top corner.
So at this point, since we've already kind of talked about the films, it's literally just voting. Which one are you going for? You going for Naked Gun?
Yep.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Let's give you about a minute or two to vote. Get that vote in.
And all the while, we will sit here and take a moment to commiserate about the wonders of both of these. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I've always, maybe it's because I grew up with it, but I've always preferred the Zucker brothers to Mel Brooks in many respects because of Naked Guns and Airplanes. Like, they're just like Airplane and the Naked Gun. I mean, spoof comedy done perfectly. But it's also being a product of that generation. I mean, they don't even make spoof movies anymore. The last really great one I remember was Not Another Teen Movie, and that was 19 years ago.
Right.
Wait, about Hot Shot? Oh no, Hot Shots came out before
That was
that.
way before. Yeah.
I was waiting for that.
Julio says Lethal Weapon lost to Naked Gun. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Julio, I agree.
Julio, it was a bloodbath too.
Shy about their opinion.
Lethal Weapon really died fast to the Naked Gun, but it looks like Back to the Future is probably going to take this.
Yeah, this is another landslide.
It's looking like it. All right, guys, you got about 30 more seconds to cast your vote, please, in the chats. Those of you who haven't, it's The Naked Gun starring Leslie Nielsen versus Back to the Future starring Michael J. Fox, Elizabeth Shue, and Christopher Lloyd.
Guys, I feel like our influence over these picks is minimal. I think the audience has truly run this show this evening.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amish is here. He's voting for Back to the Future.
Uh-oh. Well, that's it. He's kicked out of the apartment. Thanks for casting your vote, Amish. Thanks for joining. Okay, so let's count them up. Guys, you can still vote while I'm counting the votes, so please feel free. Vote in the chats. Text us if you need to. Send us a message, whatever you have to do. Just get it across here. I'm going to check my messages. I see one vote for Back to the Future in a text message, so I'm going to add that in. Okay, I don't think that needed to be added, to be honest, but we'll go with... All right, so Chris Turner, Back to the Future. Enrique, Back to the Future. Anthony, bless your heart. Anthony said Naked Gun, so it's 2-1. Bonnie, Back to the Future, 3-1. Austin, Back to the Future, 4-1. TJ, Back to the Future, 5-1. Purpose and Chai, Back to the Future, 6-1. Arm fall off, boy. Love you. 6-2. Naked Gun took that one. Pete says Back to the Future. That's 7-2. Maria says Back to the Future, 8-2. We're no longer seeing each other. My mom says Back to the Future. Well, she used to be my mother. That's 9-2. Half says Back to the Future. That's 10-2. Angie says Back to the Future. That's 11-2. Julio says Back to the Future. That's 12-2. Janet says Back to the Future. That's 13-2. Sammy says Back to the Future. Is 14-2. Misha's Back to the Future. Is 15-2. Julio says a little trivia. Leslie Nielsen was Jamie Lee Curtis's dad in Prom Night. Ah, cool. I don't think I knew that. It is a cool bit of trivia. Thank you, Julio, for distracting me for a second while I take the Naked Gun officially off the roster because it's lost. So Back to the Future 1, everybody. Congratulations.
All right. To finish off this bracket, our left bracket, Jurassic Park will automatically advance to the semi. Now, let's move back over to the right bracket here.
Double elimination.
Yeah, the reason why Jurassic Park advanced, guys, for those that you do not know, it's because we could not decide on Star Wars and Indiana Jones which would move forward, so they both canceled each other out. And that was even with the four of us voting. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move back to the right bracket. Defeating Scream 14-1 is Evil Dead. And against Godfather, which defeated Dark Knight 12-5.
It's Evil Dead versus The Godfather?
This is interesting.
That is the one you've never thought would go against each other. But
that's a weird matchup.
No, this one's really weird.
Cast your votes, Ash or the Corleone family.
I love it though. All right, guys, who are you taking?
The Mafia versus the Deadites.
We've got Carlos voted Naked Gun. Thank you, Carlos. God bless you. But it's over for that one. He's gone. Godfather versus Evil Dead Trilogy. The Godfather Trilogy versus the Evil Dead Trilogy. That's Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness.
Ash, I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse.
Right? This is going to be, I think this might be tighter than we think.
I'm telling you, man, with The Godfather, I mean, it's just, the Turk just had to come in with all that cocaine. He wasn't feeling the prostitution and the police corruption and the political corruption. He just came in and changed the game with Blow, everybody.
Wow.
And just when you think you're out of the pressure to choose between these films, we pull you back in.
Right. Okay, guys, keep voting. You've got a couple seconds left, about 15 seconds, 20 seconds left to cast your vote, please.
You, Donald.
Oh,
pretty good for you.
I just got a text message here right now. It simply states that, if you don't vote for The Godfather, you have a choice. Vote for The Godfather or your brains will be on that contract.
Jeez.
Man.
Okay. All right, we're getting votes. Votes are piling in. Guys, keep voting while we're going to start tallying the votes. Ready? Let's do this. TJ says Godfather. That's 1 for Godfather. Chris Turner says Evil Dead. So that's 1 for Evil Dead. Julio says Evil Dead. Pete says Evil Dead. Anthony says Godfather. Maria says Evil Dead. Bonnie says Holy Crap. I don't know what that one is yet. Amish says Godfather. Half says Evil Dead. My mom says Evil Dead. Enrique says Evil Dead. Bonnie says Evil Dead. Austin says Godfather. Amish says Evil Dead. No, he said lots of Evil Dead? Just take that one away.
We have 8-4 right now.
Sammy says Evil Dead. Janet says Evil Dead.
10.
Arm Fall Off Boy says Godfather.
10-5.
Purpose and Chai says Godfather.
10-6.
And Darren, you said you had a Godfather vote?
Oh no, that was just a bad joke.
Oh, okay. We have another Godfather by Carlos.
10-7.
10-7. Anybody else? We've got 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Campbell's about to take this.
4, 3.
Oh my
2,
goodness.
1.
I can't believe this. Rob
voted Godfather.
Doesn't matter though.
No. Evil Dead takes it.
So Evil Dead advances to the semifinals. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, really. Unbelievable. That's a good word. Okay. Next one here, guys.
All right.
Final semifinal participant.
Defeating, this is a quarterfinal. We've got Lord of the Rings winning by a 12-6 vote against Toy Story, against John Wick, which won by a 10-7 vote against Die Hard. These are definitely two of our tightest vote counts here.
So we've got John Wick versus what one? Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings. So who has to go to the semifinals out of these two? Who gets to go?
Okay.
Lord of the Rings versus Wick.
We've got Lord of the Rings versus John Wick, everybody. Who are you voting for?
John Wick.
Now, it's very obvious that if we were judging this based on film score, Lord of the Rings by a mile, right?
Well, of course. Howard Shore's soundtrack is amazing. Or I should say Howard Shore's score is amazing.
Okay, we're getting some votes piling in, guys. Keep voting, please. Feel free. Keep voting.
Viggo Mortensen versus Keanu Reeves.
You can, what's really fascinating, too, is there's, 2 scores in Lord of the Rings that are used repeatedly for the same mood. Like, anytime it's a dour moment, it's just da, 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 da. And then when they're about to, retaliate, it's dun, dun, da, da, dun, da, da, dun, da, da, da. And that always is interesting to me. It's like one of the little quirks of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pete, I agree. I think Lord of the Rings, the third one, Return of the King, did fall a little short in my mind as well.
Really?
It definitely didn't deserve all the accolades it got. I think they were saving it for the last film, and it happened to be Return of the King. But I think the better films are the first and the second of the trilogy.
Pete, it's also not nice that they fell a little short when we're talking about hobbits. They're people too.
You don't like the 4-hour extended cut?
I mean, I think Return of the King had one of the best kill lines ever by Eowyn, I think her name was, when it's like, "No man can defeat me," and she's like, "I am no man," and she shoves the sword right in his face.
Yeah,
that's a great line.
Okay, so we're going to start tallying, guys. Please keep voting. Put your votes in. We have, by the way, Angie said there wasn't enough female-centric films, and I said, please mention some, and she said Pitch Perfect.
I I will say, because my daughters got me into those films, they're good. I like Pitch Perfect.
I enjoyed the first one, and I think I watched the second one. I'm not 100%. It was a blur.
I think the third is better than the second, but they're all fun.
Okay.
And I never thought I'd say that in my life.
So we're going to go with, let's see, TJ, Lord of the Rings, guys. Let's start counting.
All right.
Maria, Lord of the Rings.
2,
Sammy, Lord of the Rings.
3,
Pete, John Wick.
1,
Amish, Lord of the Rings.
4,
Austin, Lord of the Rings.
5,
Chris, John Wick.
2,
Janet, Lord of the Rings.
6,
Enrique, John Wick.
3,
Mom, Lord of the Rings. Bonnie, Lord of the
7,
Rings.
8,
Angie, Lord of the Rings. Julio, Lord of
9,
the Rings.
10.
Arm Fall Off Boy says, how did Orlando Bloom make it into 2 of these trilogies and yet Godfather lost to Evil Dead? Lord of the Rings.
11.
So we got to vote for Lord of the Rings.
Your fellow
Another
voters, sir.
for John Wick.
4,
Half says Lord of the Rings.
12.
Okay, there's no way it's going to be able to win at this point, I don't
So Lord of the
feel.
Rings goes to the semifinals.
Yep.
Sorry, John Wick.
All right, here we go. Final 4, folks. Since I
Final
took
4.
time to create this live bracket on air, we've got Back to the Future recently defeating Naked Gun by 15-3 mark against Jurassic Park, which got a bye and previously defeated Pirates of the Caribbean 14-1.
This is a good matchup, I feel.
That's a great matchup, yeah.
So Jurassic Park versus Back to the Future, guys. Cast your votes.
I know who I would vote for.
America, waiting for your votes. That was my generic spokesman voice.
This is interesting. I think this is, you have a piece of nostalgia from the mid-'80s to a piece of nostalgia from the mid-'90s. I'm kind of curious to see what people roll with here.
Okay. We're rolling in. Guys, feel free. Jurassic Park, remember, is a trilogy. Back to the Future is a trilogy. I did get a vote here for Back to the Future, so I got a text message vote, another Back to the Future vote. I have a very rabid Back to the Future fan that loves to vote for Back to the Future. Jill, anybody wondering who that is that's voting for Back to the Future?
Is that just me, or does anyone get tired of Dana Delaney calling him Emmett in Part 3 of Back to the Future? Oh, Emmett. You're Doc Brown.
Yeah. I like Doc Brown. In fact, I have a pair that I wear of Doc Browns. Wait, is that...
Oh, nice.
That's not a shoe, is it? Never mind.
It's a root beer, too.
It's a soda, yeah.
It is a soda. If I wore those, though, that'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That would hurt. I'm
You
not
know,
a fan of that.
On a side note that no one probably cares about, Christopher Lloyd is amazing in the show Taxi.
Oh, yeah. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah. And some, has anybody seen Event Horizon with Sam Neill from Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Late 90s
Woo.
flick. Oh, yeah.
Whew. That movie's crazy. Oh, by the way, I met Jeff Goldblum, who was in Jurassic Park not too long ago. And Jeff Goldblum, the lady I was with, hit on her mercilessly, actually, and then hit on me.
Mm.
Go
He's
figure.
like, Donald, I like your face.
When I asked him, I was like, hey, I said, that's my lady there, buddy. And he was like, well, you know, why would she want, this chuck steak when she can have a filet mignon? And he pointed to me, and then he, like, grabbed my arm a little bit and squeezed it and gave me a wink, and I was like, all right, my place or yours.
You got Goldbloomed.
I did. I got Goldbloomed hard.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
All right. Votes are cast. Votes are coming in. Everybody, we're going to start counting them. So please
All right.
feel free to keep casting your vote.
Who is going to the championship round? Which movie series? Which trilogy is going to the championship round?
Okay.
Jurassic Park or Back to the
Sammy,
Future?
Jurassic Park.
That's
All right.
1-1.
Amish, Jurassic Park. Pete, oof. So we don't know yet. TJ, Back to the Future. Enrique, Back to the Future. Julio,
Wait,
Back to the
hang on,
Future.
Kevin, we got 3 for Back to the Future because we got the tech.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So we've got
3-2.
DJ, Enrique, Julio, and the Tex. That's 4-2 Back to the Future. Rob, Back to the Future. Chris, Back to the Future.
6. Okay.
Pete, Back to the Future.
7.
Janet, Back to the Future. Maria's
8.
Torn. Angie says Back to the Future.
9.
Austin says Jurassic Park.
All right. 9-3.
Half says Back to the Future. Maria says Jurassic Park.
10-4.
Kevin says Julio says, oh, by the way, Kevin is bi-weekly.
There we go.
Every week.
Every week.
My mom says Jurassic Park.
10-5.
It was Mary Steenburgen, right? Yeah, Bonnie, I think you're right.
Oh, it was Mary Steenburgen, not Dana Delaney?
No,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was Mary
yeah.
Steenburgen.
Okay.
Rob said the same thing, yeah. Carlos says Jurassic Park.
10-6.
10-6.
Bonnie says Back to the Future.
11-6.
And Chris says I'd go gay for Goldblum. So far, it looks like Back to the Future's taking it. We've got 15 seconds left. We're going to count down. For those that want to cast their vote, please feel free to do so.
It's looking like Back to the Future is heading to the championship
I got
round.
another text, Jurassic Park.
Okay, all right,
What's
all
your
right.
vote total?
What is it? Total's 10-7?
11-8.
11-8, okay. In Back to the Future's favor. We just got another Jurassic Park. 11-9. This is one of the closest ones yet. In 10 seconds. 9, 8. Cast your vote, guys. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
Jurassic Park loses to Back to the Future. Moving on to the finals.
To the championship
Back to
round.
the Future, the championship round.
We'll keep it up there because I know the movie it's facing. Darren, when you're ready.
Right side bracket semifinal. Evil Dead versus Lord of the Rings.
All right. Now, this should be interesting, or maybe it won't be interesting. Maybe it won't be interesting. Let's see.
I'd like to congratulate you guys for not being the Simon Cowells who are like, wow, the audience voted against me, Simon Cowell. How dare they? We're just taking your votes and just trying to dictate them as honestly as possible.
I actually personally love how this has been going.
Oh, man, Donald, this is interesting.
It is. Wow.
Unless you guys vote wrong for this.
Wow.
Could this be an upset?
This could be.
Upset? Oh, my goodness.
Jarrett, hold your tongue on that, sir.
This might be an upset.
Oh, my God.
Oh my goodness. Man. We have a very interesting audience here.
This is a tight vote, guys. This is a very tight vote. So everybody that's watching right now, we need your vote. We need to see who's going to win.
This matters. This really matters.
We've got Lord of the Rings versus the Evil Dead trilogy. That's Lord of the Rings, the first one, the second one, and the third one, of course, versus Evil Dead. The first one, the second one, and the third one.
This election is tighter than I expected. I did not expect this. The favorite is not the favorite anymore.
It just goes to show you that, people have their unique opinions, and they're not necessarily right or wrong. They're just unique. And
we're not swaying anybody either. We're not swaying.
You never know how Trilogy can touch somebody. You never know how it can affect somebody. And based on that, you're starting to seeing this one here tonight. I think that Back to the Future defeating the Terminator 14-0 is kind of an unreal number.
Sorry, Amish. Sorry, Amish, that Jurassic Park lost. I know it was very close.
Yeah, to have Evil Dead defeat Scream 14-1 was a little surprising, but then it defeats Godfather, and it seems to be keeping it close against Lord of the Rings. That's a really interesting take.
Right? Mm-hmm. I would never have thought it to have gone this far, and it's really being a tremendous contender here in this semifinal round.
Yes, it is.
This is a dead heat, guys.
That's what I've always been saying. People love
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell.
In the words of Bane, you occasionally have to turn it over to you. The people.
The people.
And, you know, because if we had polled, you know, the AMPAS, the American Academy Group, they would not even know what Evil Dead was. So we're going directly to the people for all these answers.
Right. Okay, guys. We've got about 30 seconds left, and then we're going to be moving on here. So please cast your vote while we count the votes. Your vote still counts right now, so please feel free to cast your vote. We're going to start, though. Carlos says Lord of the Rings. Chris Turner says Evil Dead.
All right.
Maria says Lord of the Rings.
All right.
Julio says Evil Dead.
All right.
DJ
2-2.
says Lord of the Rings. Pete says Evil Dead. Amish says Evil Dead. Janet says Evil Dead. Austin says Lord of the Rings.
All right. 5-4.
Enrique says Evil Dead.
6-4.
Angie says Lord of the Rings. My mom says Lord of the Rings.
6-6.
Arm Fall Off Boy says Lord of the Rings.
7-6.
Sammy says Lord of the Rings.
8-6.
8-6.
Bonnie says, as much as I love Lord of the Rings, I have to give it to Evil Dead for rewatchability. So,
8-7.
Evil Dead.
8-7.
Angie says, your eyes should be so blessed to see frolicking hobbits. And Julio says, just think about how many times Evil Dead has been released on every single format. Okay, so what's the vote right now?
8-7 Lord of the Rings.
Okay, Lord of the Rings is winning by 1 vote, everybody. You've got about 20 seconds left to cast your vote. Otherwise, we're going to call it.
Yes, and vote, but vote honestly. Don't vote to make this interesting.
Vote however you want. Vote your feelings. Vote your gut.
There'll be no hanging chads in this one.
Pregnant chads.
DJ makes a good reference. He says the junk food of horror films for Evil Dead. That's a good way to think of it.
Go with that.
Also spawned an excellent television series, Ash versus the Evil Dead, which if you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. It's fantastic.
It's controversially canceled.
Yeah, it really was. And now we're getting a Lord of the Rings television series on Amazon. So there's that too. Okay, in 10 seconds, cast your vote if you want Evil Dead to survive.
Someone
9,
can tie this up.
Someone
8,
can
can
7,
tie this up and bring it to
6,
us.
5, 4, 3,
Evil Dead,
2,
anybody?
1.
Say Evil Dead.
Evil Dead is gone.
Tight, razor thin, thin margin.
The 1985 NC State Wolfpack, the Survive and Advance group, has been defeated by 8-7. And
or you could say the 2006 George Mason team in the Final Four.
This is an interesting final, everybody. I don't know, but the outcome is going to be fascinating.
That is a hard one.
The championship round, Lord of the Rings versus Back to the Future.
Both won their previous matchups by very, very, very narrow margins, 8-7 and 11-9. Very, very narrow margins.
This is going to be a tight one. Everybody that is watching this right now, you need to vote. Your vote
What's
counts.
it gonna be? Doc Brown?
Definitely counts.
Or Gandalf?
Gandalf or Doc Brown?
More importantly, thank you, everybody, for voting and staying with us this whole time. This has been awesome.
A lot of fun.
I'm so happy where we're at right now. I think it's great.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we'll do something like this again. This has been so good.
You know, truth be told, I mean, you could make the argument that the finals ended with the 4th matchup between Indiana Jones and Star Wars.
True.
Because in the words of the computer in war games, the only way to win is not to play.
Yeah.
That was quite an interesting cancel out there. That was not pre-planned by any stretch of the imagination.
Double elimination. We did not try to do that.
Okay.
I did call that Sophie's choice of picking, and
I've got a vote for Back to the Future here via text again from Jill.
All right.
I will say this: I'm very proud of the fact that Indiana. Yeah, like I said, I always compliment our smart audience. I mean, it's conventional wisdom to always go with Star Wars about everything, and we buck the trend on many of that, which was
Donald,
impressive, I thought.
Hey, Donald, do you see TJ's comments? The last 2 Evil Dead rounds felt exactly like the 2016 and 2020 elections. Good Lord.
Oh, there were elections going on. Okay.
Hey, Kevin, did you see Mad Max throw in his vote for Assault on Precinct 13?
Oh, of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
Oh, wow. This might be tighter than we think.
Uh-oh.
Actually, this is fitting for this. Okay, guys, you've got 30 seconds left to cast your vote. It's very important. If you want your movie to win, if you want Lord of the Rings to win, cast your vote. If you want Back to the Future to win, cast your vote. It is going to be one or other of these films that will be titled the greatest trilogy of all times.
Hey, fellas, I have a question. What do we do if this ends up in a tie with our Supreme Court? If we have to come in as the Supreme Court to decide and we end up in a tiebreaker situation again, is this going to be a double elimination and no one wins the championship?
You'll get co-champions more than likely.
Okay.
But what's encouraging, Back to the Future had an even number of votes in its last round. Lord of the Rings versus Evil Dead had an odd number. So depending on how we go, if we have the Lord of the Ring voters versus Evil Dead, we will have a clear winner.
Bonnie,
Back to the Future.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just a Back to the Future Jurassic Park scenario, we'll have an even number of voters.
Bonnie says, I still think the whole thing is a moot point since you so rudely excluded the Karate Kid.
We talked about it.
We
talked
talked
about it.
the Karate Kid.
We think that and a bunch of others should have been included, but we had to keep it to 16.
And Bonnie, I fought really hard for Karate Kid, namely because I think the third film was actually quite enjoyable. But obviously 1 and 2 are tremendous.
See, this is the question Amish just asked, Bonnie. Says, is Karate Kid in a trilogy? That's the point there. Not a lot of people remember that or know that. So unfortunately, that's why it was kind of excluded, was it wasn't as well known as a lot of these other ones. And we could only pepper in a few dark horses. And those went actually surprisingly far. So putting, Karate Kid in there, it might have gone farther than we think. We just don't know. So unfortunately, we couldn't put it in. But we're going to be doing some other fun things coming up in the future. Some versus type stuff like this again. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. We're going to start counting, everybody. Please cast your votes immediately so we can count those votes. This is for the finals. This is for all or nothing.
Marbles. All the marbles.
Please
Okay.
cast your votes. Please Castor Troy, Nicolas Cage from Face Off.
And his brother Pollux Troy.
Pollux Troy, that's right, man. Who was played by Alessandro Nivola, who was in Jurassic Park 3.
Okay, so Maria says Lord of the Rings.
So that's 1-1 because we got the text in, right?
Right. Sammy says Lord of the Rings. Pete says Lord of the Rings. Chris says Back to the Future. Carlos says Lord of the Rings. Austin says Lord of the Rings. Arm Fall Off Boy says Lord of the Rings.
Uh-oh.
DJ Anderson, Lord of the Rings.
Uh-oh.
Enrique, Lord of the Rings.
Oh, boy.
My mother, Lord of the Rings.
Oh, no.
Amish says Back to the Future. Bonnie says Back to the Future.
9-4.
Janet says Back to the Future.
9-5.
Julio says Back
comeback.
to the Future.
Oh, comeback. 9-6.
DR or Doctor says Back to the Future.
9-7. Ooh.
Arm Fall Off Boy, sorry, no Human Centipede trilogy. Okay, that's where we're at right now. Guys, 30 more seconds we're going to give you to vote. Where are we sitting on the vote count?
If I recall, 9-7.
9-7.
9-7. Lord of the Rings is winning by 2 votes, everybody.
So 2 people can tie this and maybe send it to us, the Supreme Court of movie trilogies.
Except we're an even number here on this Supreme
That's-
Court.
That's true. We'll have a 5th person to break the tie.
I just got another text, Lord of the Rings, guys.
10-7.
10-7. All right, Lord of the Rings is pulling away.
One trilogy to rule them all.
I have to get up at 4:30 a.m. out there, audience, but I'm going to stay here till the bitter end because it needs to be done. For you.
All right, everybody. Counting down. 10 seconds.
People.
Cast your
9,
vote. 9.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
One ring.
0. Well,
Oh.
the Pete, you have decided it is the one, the only, the Lord of the Rings.
We have a winner! Lord of the Rings, everybody, has won the battle of the trilogies, narrowly defeating Back to the Future. narrowly winning against the Evil Dead trilogy.
That was the biggest surprise.
Lethal Weapon eliminated in the first round to The Naked Gun.
I know. Evil Dead was like this. Evil Dead was like the Cinderella trilogy in this.
I
tournament.
can't believe, and then Indiana Jones and Star Wars canceling each other out and both getting eliminated from the round. This is insane.
This was fun. This is amazing,
guys. This was definitely a lot of fun.
I'm unfortunately got to go. I have kids and I'm drinking 2 beers and my bladder's like, you're done. Go take care of your kids.
All right. See you later, sir. Thanks for joining us.
We'll close out. Take care, man.
Shop.
And then our picture is going to go boop, 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 boop. It's going to stack us now. Now that Jared's gone, we're going to get stacked. It's great.
Yeah. I'm not terribly surprised with early eliminations of Star Wars and Indiana Jones that Lord of the Rings would be the ultimate trilogy here. Clearly a very powerful trilogy. Really, to me, I would make the case the second is the weakest film, and it's not even weak.
Guys, can we ask the question? We're getting some questions in the audience, but real quick, while we still have some viewers, what if Indiana Jones and Star Wars were still in? If those 3 fought each other, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and Lord of the Rings, who would you have voted for? Go ahead and let us know right now while we continue to talk. Because I'm definitely curious, and it sounds like a bunch of people in the chats are curious as well.
I mean, yeah, you could, what I just said about Lord of the Rings, you could make the case for the other 2 trilogies. Their weakest link is not even weak.
No.
Like, I don't know if there's one scene in any of those 9 films that I don't like in some way, shape, or form. It just is really going to come down to personal preference. People that are into sci-fi will side with Star Wars. People that are into it, like kind of semi-realistic adventure would go Indiana Jones, and people who are in for fantasy would go for Lord of the Rings. I mean, it just really depends what you're into.
And if this is for fun, I think that we'll toss in our votes as well then on this. So Kevin, Darren, and myself will be voting in this since it doesn't count. What we're doing right now is we're talking Indiana Jones versus Lord of the Rings versus Star Wars. Which would have won if Indiana Jones and Star Wars hadn't eliminated each other? What would we have voted for? What do we have here? Let's see. Oh, my mom says night. Very fun. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. Love you. Evan says Lord of the Rings. Chris says Star Wars. TJ says Lord of the Rings, so 2 for Lord of the Rings, 1 for Star Wars. Maria says Lord of the Rings, for 3 for Lord of the Rings. Julio says Star Wars, so 2 for Star Wars, 3 for Lord of the Rings.
You know what I find fascinating too is that Tolkien is kind of a trailblazer for his storytelling style, and George Lucas was heavily inspired by Tolkien.
Okay.
As well as George R. R. Martin for Game of Thrones.
Adding in Enrique's vote, Julio's vote, Pedro's vote, or Pete's vote, I'm sorry, Amisha's vote, and Arm Fall Off Boy, we're 3, 3, and 3. And now we're 4. And guess who the 4th who just took the number 4 spot?
Star Wars.
Indiana Jones.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's in the lead right now. My mom threw in Lord of the Rings, so it's tied.
It's like a defense, Darren, like a defensive formation.
Now almost. Star Wars got a vote. It's all tied, 4-4-4.
This is unsurprising, though. I mean, this really is kind of unsurprising to go for.
Dammy says Star Wars, so that's 5. I'm going to throw in for Lord of the Rings myself. So that's...
I'm going to throw in 1 for Star Wars myself.
So that's 6-5.
I'm actually going to throw in for Lord of the Rings as well, because
6-6.
It's hard because those other 2 are great, and in some ways I enjoy them more, but just physically on the filmmaking itself, Lord of the Rings is stunning.
The New Zealander outdid himself.
Yeah, I don't know how much better it gets as far as trilogies go, and than these 3.
Yeah.
But
so I think we've kind of got a dead heat between Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, right? Or did Lord of
6-6? It was like 6-6-5. You're saying?
Yeah, I think 6-6-5.
So like for purposes of analysis, why do you guys think Back to the Future was able to go so far? Was it because of their competition, or was it because of it's maybe more popular than people think?
Angie says Lord of the Rings, so it's taking the lead.
All right. 765.
Why? I think because of the fanciful element of it, of the possibility of changing your fate. I think is a big one for a lot of people. Being able to go back in time and fixing things and correcting life's mistakes is something that's hugely thought about by everybody. So it's universal.
Yeah, it makes sense. We all want to go back in time and correct something that we did wrong, or even better. Some cases, if there is a person in your life you want to save from dying, there you go. You can go back and save them.
Bonnie says Star Wars, so we're tied again. Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings, and it looks like Indiana Jones is falling by the wayside, unfortunately. Yeah, and Pete's right. The chemistry between Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd was incredible. They really played off of each other well and acted. You couldn't know that they didn't know each other for years. You know, it's just a very thought out, very well done. Robert Zemeckis doesn't get the credit he deserves over the years. I'm going to be honest.
Also, him taking a shot and being brave to make a switch. Remember, Michael J. Fox was not the original Marty McFly.
Right. Yeah.
Eric filmed for 6 weeks.
Yep. Before they made that fateful decision to it wasn't working out to make that switch.
Yeah. Yeah. He and they've had some of the footage that you could see, and it does look like
it's not working.
Yeah.
Not working.
The Back to the Future too. One thing I will say, it really encapsulates the 1980s about as well as any film can encapsulate the 80s, especially with a soundtrack. It clearly sounds like it's from the 80s, but it's kind of timeless too.
The Power of Love.
Yeah, you were at that point as we talked about in our 80s podcast, which we still need to do part 2 of. That's when you really started to see like America changing technologically.
Yeah.
And there is a film coming out December 9th, which I'm highly looking forward to picking up on Blu-ray, called My Science Project with Dennis Hopper. That it's a very similar storyline to Back to the Future.
Oh, I love that. It's also got Fisher Stevens in it.
It does have Fisher Stevens and John Stockwell. So December 9th, Donald, it's available on Amazon to order.
Nice. I think I know what I'll be getting. Hopefully in my stocking. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Julio had to leave. He said, hope to see you guys at Bartertown this weekend. Julio runs the shop We Can Be Heroes in Chatsworth, California. It's a comic book, pop culture, toy shop that also does gaming next door in a place called Ground Control.
Guys, I unfortunately am going to have to sign off here. Very happy to have done this. What a great show, and thank my audience and our audience, actually, once again for everything.
All right, Darren, thanks for coming.
Finish up.
Thanks for doing the brackets. We appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, Kevin, it's just you and me, honey bunch.
All right, here to finish up the show.
We're going to wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning in. Arm Fall Off Boy says, thanks, fellas. We needed this. We appreciate you, Arm Fall Off Boy, and everybody else in the chats. Keep in mind that we're going to be doing holiday podcasts, audio podcasts, for the rest of the year, guys. So if you're in the mood to kind of, let's be honest, this year's kind of been a suck fest. So if you're in the mood for a little holiday cheer, you want to celebrate a little bit early, I cannot blame you there. I can't blame you at all. I think that we could all use a little more cheer right now. And with the audio podcasts that we're going to be doing, we're going to have a special one that's going to come out tomorrow. It's going to come out early. It is going to be actually on action films. So holiday action films will be coming out. Special guest star on this one will be Thomas Hennessy, writer, director, producer. He's done some really great stuff. He worked for me with the Blue Beetle a couple times, actually, and performed in it. He's very good at what he does. He's actually has a few films on Amazon Prime right now that you'll want to check out, so please feel free to do so. One of them is About Time, and the other one is What We Can't Have. And if you get a chance to check those out, please feel free. One of them I'm in. But briefly, it's a very interesting role, guys. Otherwise, we do these live podcasts usually every week. Now, next week, we will not be doing a live podcast, and that's simply because of the holidays and stuff. A lot of people will be out of town, including myself. So having the time to be able to prepare for these is what we normally need a full week to be able to do. And
But
I will not have that, and I know a couple other
but
people here won't as well.
we'll be back Monday, December 7th.
Yes, we'll be back on Monday, December 7th, and we're going to be working on something great, guys. So we'll be posting about that probably relatively
The
shortly,
coming
in
days.
less than a
Yeah,
week
the
or
coming
about a
days.
week, somewhere around there. We're going to post about our next live podcast. In the meantime, audio podcasts will be coming out regularly. We'll have one tomorrow, like I said, and then next week it'll go back to its regularly scheduled Wednesday time.
And also, you can check out our previous live streams podcast that we have posted on the Rumble Spoon website,
Mm-hmm.
especially our October ones, our Halloween podcast. Our live streams were really good. The Disney Dark Tales, John Carpenter. We have some really good stuff out there for the month of October. That will be a fun listen.
Yeah, and I'm just typing in thanks, Maria, Mom, Evan, and the rest, everybody that's commented, Pete, Enrique, TJ, Amish, Arm Fall Off Boy,
Thank you, everybody.
Julio, DR, Bonnie, Angie, Sammy, Chris, Everardo, just anybody and everybody that's made a comment in here. If I didn't mention your name, it's just because
Yeah.
we've had a lot of
Carlos,
comments.
Austin, Natasha, Sam.
Yeah, and Jill,
Everybody.
thanks for casting your votes
Jill.
for Back to the Future. You guys were great.
Janet.
You guys really made our day on this, being so active in the chats and helping us decide who's going to win on the votes. Find us with our live audio podcasts on Spotify. Kevin, what are some other ones?
iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud,
Yeah, the
Spreaker.
Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Blueberry, and a host of others. We're just on a ton of them. Odds are if you find a podcast hosting site, we are on there. And if we're not, reach out to us and say, hey, are you going to be on there? And we'll find a way to get on that site. We'll do it. We'll do it. We don't care. We're crazy. We'll do it. We'll go. We'll hold somebody's kid hostage. Whatever we have to do to get on this site, we will do it. That's how committed we are to you. And maybe we should be committed. I don't know. That's not to be seen right now. I mean, who knows that, right? I mean, God. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to The Real Short Box. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a safe Thanksgiving. We really appreciate you guys. And if we don't see you out and about in the near future due to this dumb pandemic that sucks butt, hopefully we'll see you sometime soon.
At the sweet, precious, homely, and safe comic book shop.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
We miss you already. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
See you in 2 weeks.